Hey guys, welcome to the green room, if you want to call it that, of Thinktown Podcast. Um, we're gonna open the room. We're probably, what is it, 3 minutes away from actual airtime of 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. It's easier for us to open the room up and allow people to come in instead of us, having that slow pause and delay once the 8 o'clock hour hits. So if you guys want to just come on in and populate the room, I see some people coming in now. We'll do that for the next 2.5, 3 minutes. And you guys can continue to have your chat in the chat section, if you will. And we can definitely correspond with you guys there. But the main goal is to try to get the room open so that we can have people rolling in here before we actually hit 8 o'clock. And let me go change that setting. If I can. All right, guys, it is 8 o'clock now. So let's get started with the Thinktown podcast. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow. We have Chad Marino right next to me there, and Kendall Pruitt down below. We are going to need Kendall to handle the extra load of estrogen tonight because Mackenzie could not make it. So Kendall's going to be handling that portion of the show, fielding any of the female questions. So
duly noted. Duly noted.
Thank you for holding that down, Kendall. I appreciate that, man.
You play that role well.
Yeah. We wish Mackenzie all the best. If you guys have been watching for the last month, Mackenzie's been a good mainstay of the show, and I hate that she's not feeling well tonight. Hopefully, she'll be good to go for next Monday night, but she's a little under the weather, so we wish her well and can't wait to have her back on.
She's going to watch us and judge us the whole time. So
I know she's making notes. I think what she's done is she's planning to see in more relaxed environment how she can kick back and critique us and decide whether or not she wants to continue with us. She may,
or see if we really need her.
I just kind of wonder if that same joke that Tiger played, would that be acceptable if we played that on her?
I'm not going to be the one that does that.
I don't know. I just don't know if it's off limits. It's not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, you're going to have to take that up with her. I don't want to be a part of that. Thank you guys who have come into the room. We appreciate that, and we think we've got some pretty good topics tonight. We've tried to be a little bit more wide-ranging. Chad and I were talking before the show that everything that's so popular and important that's in the news right now, the top of the news, it seems like on a daily basis right now, is kind of littered with Biden screw-ups and COVID revelations, if you want to call it that. So we could probably do a show every single week on the exact same topics, and we just don't want to get so mundane that we become predictable as far as that goes. So we tried to purposely mix it up a little bit this week and do some things outside of that, although we will touch on a little bit of that as well. I want to jump right into it. Something that I thought was kind of funny but interesting and a sign of the times would be our first story that we're going to talk about tonight. Headline: Ford files patent for systems to repossess vehicles by locking features, self-driving capabilities. I'm going to read this for those of you that haven't seen this story yet, because it's pretty interesting. But again, what a sign of the times. Ford Global Technologies, a subsidiary of Ford Motor Company, has filed a patent for new systems and methods to repossess a vehicle, including potentially locking certain features after missed payments. A patent application published on February 23rd describes a system in which a vehicle computer could be used to disable functionality of a component of the vehicle or may place the vehicle in a lockout condition. The application describes multiple possible implementations of the system, such as disabling the air conditioning system, a remote key fob, an automated door lock unlock system, using the stereo to emit an incessant and unpleasant sound every time the owner is present in the vehicle. I actually ride with people sometimes that have that, quote, incessant and unpleasant sound every time I'm in the vehicle.
No one named
Yeah. So I guess it depends on what kind of music you like. And even using self-driving to technology to cause the vehicle to move to a place where it could be retrieved. In some cases, a vehicle can be an autonomous vehicle, and the repossession system computer may cooperate with the vehicle computer to autonomously move the vehicle from the premises of the owner to a location. Picture yourself in your house, and you're like, yeah, I dodged the repo man once again, and you hear your car crank up by itself outside and begin to drive off to an impound yard somewhere else, and you're chasing it. That's your car, so you don't have anything to chase it with. Once it's out the driveway, what are you going to do? Hop on a bicycle or a skateboard? It says the application notes a feature locking a delinquent owner or his or her vehicle could include an emergency mode that would override the lock if the driver needed to travel to seek urgent medical care. That's not going to be abused. Let's see. The outlet noted that companies often patent ideas to keep their competitors from using them, and the patent process is often lengthy and complex. What they're saying there is they're patenting the idea. They probably don't think that they're anywhere near using it or utilizing it in terms of repossessing vehicles right now. But I think it's interesting. We talked last week about AI, or artificial intelligence, and just some of the technologies that are coming about that are allowing us to do things that we probably would have never thought of. I understand the concept of self-driving cars. I still don't understand how they're actually allowed on the street. As litigious as our society is, it still blows my mind that we can get behind the wheel of a vehicle, and that I'm not saying the state should have any control over it, or the federal government, but that they allow those vehicles to actually take over and drive on their own. That blows my mind. I can't imagine insurance companies not having a problem with that. But anyway, I thought this was an interesting story. Guys, I want to throw it to y'all, Kendall and Chad. What's y'all's thoughts on this? How do you think this is actually going to affect? Who does it affect more than anything?
I think it's. If I got my car stolen, it'd be awesome technology to have in there. I see one use for that. Yep. I mean, they have the OnStar. You can track your car, things like that. If something happens, they can unlock your doors. They can already do some of this at this point. I think this is just the next progression or next phase of it. We are entering in the world of artificial intelligence and auto driving machinery, and everything's controlled that way. I can't say I've seen a lot of reports on accidents of auto driving vehicles. I know they're out there. Google mapping cars, the Teslas have auto driving features for some Uber and type Lyft type services. So I know they're out there, and I have seen where there are some that have gotten into accidents, but I think people these days are inherently worse drivers than these automated things. So, who knows if this leads into something one day. Like, I'm sure I've seen stories of where they put the stuff. They'll run something in the highways, and all the cars can be automatically controlled and paced and segmented and separated, so they aren't going to run into each other. So, would that help traffic? Would that help you get from one place to point B faster without the people slowing down or wrecks? How much is this going to go into preventing a wreck or something like that, or getting you to point A to point B faster. I think it's just a progression of technology, and it's all going to leak into every facet of our lives as it goes on. It just seems like it's going so fast, and I'm in the tech side of things, and it's even myself. I'm like, man, this is it's ramped up so much, in the last 2 or 3 years. It's just getting crazy.
Yeah, Kendall.
I guess I have a completely different take, and mine has more to do with the good intentions, if you would. Like gun registry, different things that our government has said, hey, these are good and intended opportunities for us to protect our public, protect our citizens. But kind of what you guys are talking about is the autonomous driving. So kind of coming with a history of being in the car business. The technology, I don't personally care for, to be honest with you. But let's say good intentions, long road trip, maybe a big truck driver, he don't fall asleep, stuff like that. I can kind of see that. But this patent is something that's completely different. This isn't really anything to do with the autonomous driving so much, but to do with the repossession of said vehicle. And so I guess, it's kind of like, and I'm not even going to liken it to guns, but potentially Second Amendment, and then the registry of these firearms, right? So with good intentions, we're going to turn your car off for you. With good intentions, we're going to move that vehicle for you. If somehow you're under the suspicion by the federal government, we then may have to do this. And so I unfortunately, I guess because I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, I look at that diagram, Chad. I don't know if you saw that in the that I sent you, but you look at that diagram. This is literally from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. It's got its patent number, the whole nine. But this patent literally is to, alert police authority, repossession agency, lending institution, and it actually shows the figure that Ford used. Again, I see good intentions. We want to keep people safe. Trust us. Just wear a mask. It's gonna keep you safe. And I see all of those things, but man, I just can't help but think. I just don't know that they have our best interest in mind, or at the forefront of their mind whenever they do these things. Now, having a vehicle that can be tracked, that already exists. Having a vehicle that can be unlocked, again, already exists. Those things are already there. This is moving into just a little bit different area that I'm personally not comfortable with. I don't care for it in any way, shape, or form. If you read in that article, I really don't know which article I read on it, but you read in that article, and this is not something that they're going to use. And I'm glad they tell us that, because that obviously makes me feel so much more comfortable. But they're not going to use this. However, they're only filing for patent. And so, I don't know why you'd go to all that work, maybe to keep other auto manufacturers from doing this, which is innocence. And I love the innocent take on this. But man, I'm sorry, I just don't trust all the stuff that's going into this, and I have to sound like that far weirdo, and that's my role. And I'm trying to add my McKinsey in there as well, my best McKinsey, and it would more sound like a different take. McKinsey, I know you're listening. I love you. That was just a joke right there. But I look at some of the stuff and I'm just like, man. I don't know if I want them to be able to cut my vehicle off if they're chasing me under some suspicion that they're wrong on.
You realize that the world we're in now, they can already do that with your phone, with your electricity, with all these services that we already have that we have no control over. We receive the benefit of these services, but they're all controlled by a bigger entity than us. If someone wants to turn on power remotely, and they can. So
I couldn't agree more.
So it's all there already.
And we
but
don't,
not on
we
a
don't,
vehicle.
And we don't read the terms and of agreement usually. We usually check the box and we click accept.
That's correct.
I do want to point this out too. One real quick comment. Somebody in the comment section did mention that there were several deaths caused by auto driving cars. I do remember one death. They said motorcycles, but I do remember seeing one particular death, and I don't recall what it involved specifically. but it was definitely a death that was caused by that. I do want to show this real quick just to show, I mean, most vehicles, I'm going to press the button on mine. As you can see, that's me remote locking my vehicle right there. And the middle button would start it. And of course, the other button would unlock it. So I have that technology right here. I didn't develop this. The people who developed it, they actually have this also. So they can do the same things to my vehicle wherever they are. So obviously, this is not something that other people don't already possess, like Chad said. I mean, clearly, this is stuff that's already out there. It's just now we're starting to see that kind of more of a proliferation of it where we're going to see it in areas we weren't really expecting it before. I mean, this article is funny, but I can guarantee you that once somebody gets a taste of this kind of control to be able to do these things, they're going to abuse it. It's like anything else. It's never
100%.
done in the innocent ways. It's always, I mean, you remember a few years back, it's been probably longer than that, but remember they had the little deals that people could drive by and grab the code that your garage door opener was sending to your garage door, and people were cracking them, like driving through neighborhoods trying to do that. You don't think they're going to be able to hack this also and do that kind of stuff?
They can do that. I just saw a story on that with the key fobs. So they've got this device they wear, and it's got this big long, looks like just a big loop of string or wire or something. They run up to the people's houses. They get close enough, and they just hold it by the front door, and it mimics the signal that your key fob sends and unlocks the car. So I was watching a video the other day, and it unlocked this Hellcat. It was enough to unlock the doors, but it wasn't enough to unlock the ignition. But on some cars, it is. So the guy had a whole video saying, "Hey, look, here's the guy running up to my door. He holds this thing against the door, and you can hear his car in the background. The alarm desets itself." So yeah, they've got all those things that do that, and it's kind of crazy of just what they can do. I did find this. I was going to share this real quick. There's your stats of car crashes.
Oh, wow. Nearly 400 car crashes in 11 months.
I mean, that's small compared to human-driven car crashes.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you're assuming that there's going to be less error whenever a computer is doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's still, but you're dealing with other people that you're dealing with reality, other people, real people in the world. You aren't dealing with everybody being computer controlled.
Well, I mean, and stuff like this could honestly, because notice it says involved automated. It doesn't say they cause these accidents. They said they're involved in them. This could be one of these electronically driven cars going through a green light. Somebody runs a red light and slams into them. They were involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't saying that they were all at fault. So, I mean, who knows what those numbers, the article may say it. But anyway, I thought this was a really interesting story. I was curious what you guys' take was on it. Let's see. What's this right here? S. Michael DeHart says, all your listeners need to go watch. You won't believe this video on Jason A channel. It came out today. Deals with AI specifically. We'll have to check that out. I'll actually take a screenshot of that.
I'll see what I can find on it.
Okay. We'll take a look at
YouTube. Is that a YouTube channel?
I suppose so, because it's a YouTuber that's actually posting this. And it's S. Michael DeHart. I appreciate that, buddy. Let's see. So let's move on real quick, because I got several little things, and we may get to something else a little bit later on. And I don't know if I have these in the right specific order. I don't know if it's going to screw you up, Chad, what you got queued up over there. But the next thing I want to talk about was the House GOP dropped bombshell emails exposing Fauci involvement in study to disprove lab leak. Okay, I don't think any of us can deny at this point that they pretty much know the origin of the lab leak of COVID. We talked about that last week. And I think everybody, even the people who were denying that, are actually saying now that, yeah, it probably was. I want to read just a couple of little blurbs from this story, because I do think that I saw some either House or Senate Republicans calling for, it was Ted Cruz today. So it was a Senate Republican actually calling for Fauci to be locked up, to go to jail. And I think he should too, but I think the man's way too protected, and he knows way too much on a whole lot of other people. And unfortunately, he'll never spend time in jail. However, the question of whether COVID originated from a lab was critically important, particularly after it was clear that China had lied to us about what they knew and when they let people travel to other parts of the world. Remember, China knew that this had leaked, and they actually let their folks get on these international flights and fly to other countries, and knowing that we had infected people out there. Both the Department of Energy and FBI are now admitting it is likely that COVID originated from a lab leak. Let's see. Where is this? There's now been a leak from CNN Insider that Jeff Zucker, the head of CNN, was telling his people to attack the lab leak theory because he considered it a Trump talking point. Now, in fairness, and I'm just trying to be fair here, the guy hated Trump, and he may have honestly thought that that was a Trump-cited rumor. In other words, nobody knew at that point when this first came out that it was a lab leak. A lot of us just assumed that it was. So in his defense, maybe he really thought that, but he did tell all of his reporters and all his correspondents that if that topic came up, you characterize that as a Trump talking point in order to discredit immediately. That's the way they looked at it. Let's see. In the emails, Dr. Christian Anderson says that Fauci prompted him to write the paper with a focus to disprove the lab leak theory. He later claimed that Fauci didn't influence his work, but the GOP says that isn't the case, pointing to the email in February that says, quote, "Our main work over the last couple of weeks has been focused on trying to disprove any type of lab theory." Okay, since they didn't know, why would their main focus be to disprove the lab theory? I mean, what did they have to gain by that? And that's an honest question. I don't know what they had to gain by that, but clearly it was something that they were looking for. He said at the time there was a study recently where a group of highly qualified evolutionary virologists looked at the sequence in bats that as they evolved, and the mutations that it took to get to the point where it is now. It is totally consistent with a jump of species from animal to animal. This is what Fauci helped write. So the paper will be available. So they put this paper together, not with the goal of clearing up any misconception or putting out any facts, but to debunk the lab leak theory. And fortunately, we have the likes of Jim Jordan and some other Republicans right now. And again, guys, if you watch any of my stuff on Legally Armed America, you know that I don't trust any Republicans either. But it's nice to have some of these Republicans actually trying to do these things and try to hold Fauci and some of these other people accountable for this. So I just this is more just not necessarily for an open discussion, but for us to at least talk about on the heels of what we put out last week, talking about this potential lab leak thing. It's now, it appears to me at least, that it's common knowledge that this was leaked from a lab, and just accept it. I mean, I think the other story that I sent, and I didn't print it out, but I sent this to you guys, Chad and Kendall.
But just wait, before we move on to the next one, I want to show this because this had come up the other day. This is actually from a year ago. I don't know if you've seen this. This is sort of Jon Stewart on Colbert talking about the Wuhan lab thing.
Okay.
For some reason, this was showing up a lot in the last week for me. I'm gonna roll this and just listen to it. It's pretty funny. Let's see.
I think we owe a great debt of gratitude to science. Science has, in many ways, helped ease the suffering of this pandemic,
I think this
which
is
was more than likely caused by science. So, and that's kind of.
Hold on, what's that?
No. Not listen.
It's coffee. I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you.
So
what do you mean? But do you mean like
so
this? Perhaps there's a chance that this was created in a lab. There's an investigation.
A chance.
Well, but
oh my
if there was
God.
evidence, I'd love to hear it.
There's a novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do we do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan novel respiratory coronavirus lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. That's just a little too weird, don't you think? And then they ask those scientists, they're like, how did this? So wait a minute, you work at the Wuhan respiratory coronavirus lab. How did this happen? And they're like, a pangolin kissed a turtle. And you're like, no, the name of your lab. If you look at the name, let me see your business card. Show me your business card. Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and then it sneezed into my chili, and now we all have coronavirus. Like, come on. Okay.
Wait
What about this? What about this? Listen to this.
Wait a second.
All right.
John.
Oh my God. There's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness near Hershey, Pennsylvania. What do you think happened? Like, I don't know. Maybe a steam shovel made it with a cocoa bean. Or it's the chocolate factory. Maybe that's it.
That could be.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty funny.
But the thing is, you hear the people in the audience like reluctantly laughing, like they're.
This was a year ago. So,
right. So it's like
they don't know they should.
They don't have permission to laugh yet. It's like they haven't been told yet if that's a possibility, because at that point, when you saw that, it'd been hammered into their head that this was a conspiracy theory. And like Jon Stewart said, he's almost implying that you've got to be stupid to think that anything other than the fact that it originated from this building and got outside. Oh, man. Yeah. I don't know. And thanks for bringing that up, Chaz. That's a good one there. I forgot about that. When that came out, that was funny. And
literally.
I remember thinking, how come these people don't find this? Because if you notice, if you ever go back and listen to that, you'll notice the crowd is not going crazy laughing. They're laughing, but it's like really awkward. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure if we can laugh at this or not. Like they're pulling their masks down, I'm sure, going, can we and I didn't print the other thing out, but I did want to, and I'm just going to hit on those 10 things real quick, and we'll move on to the next topic. Where is the one that? Okay, here we go. It's this Newsweek article.
Okay, I've got that one.
Yeah. Okay, it's an article. It's an op-ed, is what it is. So it's not an actual article. It's the guy who wrote the opinion piece is
this one here.
Yes, Scott Atlas. Scott's. If you ever read any of Scott's work, he's pretty smart. You've probably seen him on TV before. The dude's he's pretty dang genius. He is a doctor, by the way. Let's see. I'm going to go down to the things he said. Here are the 10 biggest falsehoods known for years to be false, not recently learned to be proven to be so, promoted by America's public health leaders, elected and unelected officials, and now discredited academics. This blew my mind. When you see it all together, it's pretty mind-boggling, and we'll just roll through them. I see you got them on screen. One, that the coronavirus has a far higher fatality rate than the flu by several orders of magnitude. Not true. That's been proven to not be true reluctantly. And it's funny, people will still cling to it and act like how deadly it was. Let's not forget that flu deaths did this, flattened out, and all the coronavirus deaths did this. So one just replaced the other. Neither one is worse than the other, from what doctors have said. The second one, everyone is at significant risk to die from this virus. Absolutely not. Again, we talked about comorbidities. We talked about really old people. Those were the people at risk. If you had some kind of a pre-existing condition or you were extremely old, you were at risk. Nobody else really was. I got it twice, and I was never feeling like death. In fact, one time I literally just had the sniffles. That's all that I had. It was Christmas Eve when I got it one time, and I felt perfectly fine. No one has immunological protection because this virus is completely new. That is so stupid. The human body is a little bit more reactive than what people give it credit for. A virus gets released upon us, made by man, and the human body still can fight it off. I think this is proof of how strong and remarkable the human body is. The fact that we did make this virus, we did create this virus, and the human body, now it's been proven that when you get it, you are more immune after you've gotten it, because the human body builds that immunity up against that. So I think that's pretty remarkable in itself. Asymptomatic people are major drivers of the spread. That had to have been one of the stupidest things that I read. That I remember that coming out, and what better way to be able to float a lie than to say, yeah, you may not have any symptoms, but you probably still have the virus. Yeah, I know you don't have sniffles. Remember they said you had your change in taste, the whole slew of things. It got down to like if you had a tummy ache or if you had gas. Every single thing was a symptom of having coronavirus. But they said Even if you don't have any of those, you're probably still carrying it. So, I mean, look, when I don't have a cold, I usually am not contagious to other people. So that's just an actual fact. Locking down, closing schools and businesses, confining people to their homes, stopping non-COVID medical care, and eliminating travel will stop or eliminate the virus. That was proven false. In fact, Europe did not lock things down, and they had the same rate of infection, the same death rate. Everything was exactly the same as any state or municipality or even various parts of the country, the United States, that did, in fact, lock down and completely close. This was my favorite. Masks will protect everyone and stop the spread. I'm not even going to go into that. That was the stupidest thing in the world, and it's still stupid. I still get a really big kick out of people who are wearing masks today. If anybody that's ever like traveled into areas that have a lot of Asian people, Asians have long been really respectful travelers. They just have, mostly coming from Japan. If you go to Hawaii or something like that, or spend any time on the West Coast, you'll notice that a lot of the Asian people will wear masks. They're not doing that like people were doing it with the virus. They do that because they feel like they have something, whether it's a cold or anything like that, and they put that on to keep them from potentially spreading that. We know it's not perfect, but they do that out of respect to other people that, hey, I'm not feeling good, but I have to travel, so I'm wearing this for that reason. It wasn't to say we're stopping the spread of something. It was just to be a little bit more respectful. And then come to find out that wasn't even an issue because it didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I guess you could catch a spit droplet or something like that, but that wasn't a big thing. Teachers are at especially high risk. Come on. We exalted these teachers, and I have plenty of friends who are teachers, so I'm not knocking teachers, but we put them so high on a pedestal during all this. It was absolutely ridiculous. I had a really bad run-in with the school board today. My son goes to private school, but I still have to deal with the school board for various things for his speech. So don't come at me that our teachers are heroes and stuff like that, because I'm just not feeling it right now. Number 9, COVID vaccine stopped the spread of the infection. That was probably the worst one. That was probably the biggest lie, that if you got a shot, suddenly you couldn't catch it, you couldn't die, and you couldn't spread it. That was an absolute lie all the way through. And then number 10, immune protection only comes from the vaccine. That study came out last week or the week before that stated that natural immunity from people who caught the virus was actually stronger in the long run than if you got the vaccine. Again, duh. We all knew this. How many of us went and actually paid attention in science or biology? You know, a natural immunity is always stronger than any man-made thing that you can put into your body, because we're guessing when we put things into the body. However, the body knows what it's doing when it's developing that immune system. So anyway, that's kind of my rant on those 10 things. Seeing them all piled together to me was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, I've seen similar memes this week about sort of listing very similar things, saying, hey, we were right. We were ridiculed for saying all this 2 years ago, but we were actually right, kind of thing.
Yep.
And I did travel to Japan in 2018 and for all this, and people did wear masks, but you kind of knew that going in.
Yeah.
They wore it for whatever reason. And I maybe kind of attribute that to, it's kind of, I mean, masks are kind of here to stay, I'd say, at this point. If you're going to wear it, you're going to wear it. You don't know what that medical issue that person may have, and that's safer. They feel safer. They're either protecting us or them, one or the other. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with them. I can't say I've been in any place that's forced me to wear a mask in the last year and a half. We did do the Disney thing when masks were part of it. So we've done it when it was full mask. We had to wear it everywhere. And we went when it was just, you had to wear it during transportation, and it just kind of didn't make a sense because, okay, you got 40 people on a bus. Well, you got 300 people waiting in line to ride a ride. So,
right.
Yeah. So, it's, trust me, when you're in Disney in the summertime, you don't want to be wearing a mask. So but now it's, everyone's back to, you're on your own pretty much. I haven't come across any places that have forced you. Now, I think there may still be some places somewhere in other cities or states or whatever that still enforce it. But, and, every now and then you'll see someone like, oh, have you seen the latest strand they're talking about? It's going to come get us. And, nothing ever comes of it. But
yeah,
I don't know. They're still trying to push that out there, I think.
That's right.
I guess I kind of saw it as like control over. It's like, if they say jump and you say how high type deal. Dude, we flew during the whole deal. And I just thought it was comical because you're in the airport and you got all these signs 6 feet, 6 feet. You got TSA, you got local PD, you got all these people 6 feet, 6 feet. And to be honest, I didn't even think about what it looked like when you got on a plane. I just never even really registered till the second we walked on the plane. And I'm literally shoulder to shoulder with the 2 people on side of me. And I felt like I was on like ridiculousness. I felt like Rob Dyrdek or Chanel West Coast or something like pop out and be like, man, this whole thing's a joke because you were literally. I mean, I'm sitting next to, this guy's touching me on my right arm. This big lady's touching me on my left. And I'm like, y'all got y'all's mask on just in case or what? Like, I mean, I'm actually, really, really close to 2 people right now, which was super odd.
But you use alcohol swab to wipe down the seat before you got in it, right?
Right. Thank God. But again, the whole thing was funny to me, and we bought it, or I guess some people bought it. I say we. I personally didn't buy it. I know, I'm not sure if you guys did, but there's just no way that whole mask theory was going to make sense to anybody. Then the neck gaiters and all the stuff. My grandfather had cancer. He was treated at MD Anderson, and this was 15. 20 years ago now. And so he did wear a mask, because of, what he was going through and the doctors around him. He was, highly susceptible to some things. And, I respect that aspect. And anytime I see, that I can't help but have those memories. But again, it's really hard for me to have something just pushed on us. And you almost want to say no just because it's pushed on you. And maybe that's just a natural response that Big Brother Joe's pushing something, so you kind of don't want to do it. I like to ride around my seatbelt off for 2 reasons. One, to annoy Paul because of the noise, but the second, so I feel like somebody's requiring me to do it. I'm like, I'm wearing a seatbelt. If I die, I die,
Well, I do it because it might save your life and just.
I've ridden with Paul that drive. It might save your life.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Paul likes to drive fast and very close to people in front of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Paul outdrives his ability to brake, I think.
And I do go through brakes quite often. I over brake. Yeah, I think from the mask standpoint, it was just, I won't say the last straw, but that was something that I really struggled with that. I'm not going to lie. I think it was the SHOT Show last year, like January of 2022, where I did Operation Lollipop, where I brought a bag of Tootsie Roll lollipops. And their one thing said that if you were eating or drinking, you didn't have to wear a mask. And I ate a lollipop from the Houston airport to the Las Vegas airport, and was successful at not having to wear a mask one bit. And they knew they were on to me. All the flight attendants were. They were like, they just look at me like, they look at their mask and I hold that lollipop up. They were just gonna be like, all right, man. They just kind of let it go. It's so funny. So yeah, going to and coming back, they were a little bit more rude. I guess they were prepared for me, but that was kind of funny.
Yeah, we were actually traveling. I think we were flying from Washington to I don't know, somewhere up East Coast when they lifted the mask ban for flights. So we got on the flight and we're walking in, and I've got a mask on with my beard. It looks like a JCPenney's catalog from the 80s, and it's like, he's like, you don't have to wear your mask, dude. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, they just rescinded the requirement. I was like, all right, cool. But everybody in there is like, what do we do? Do we take our mask on? Do we leave them off? I'm like, I'm taking this thing off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an interesting way to find out about them, finally ending that.
Yeah. One last thing on the whole COVID thing that I thought was kind of funny. And I never know how to take some of this stuff, but Novak Djokovic, who is the #1 men's tennis player in the world, one of the best players ever to play the game, actually tied Steffi Graf's record of most consecutive #1s as being ranked #1 in tennis. And he's actually not going to be playing. And I don't know which one this is because I don't follow a lot of tennis. but he's being denied. 35-year-old is being denied to come play in the United States in a major tennis tournament. The Biden administration has told him he can't come because he has not been vaccinated. This is happening now.
Really?
This is an article from today that he cannot come to the United States. I thought they're still clinging to this. Now let's remember.
That was a while back.
Yeah, well,
it did happen a while back with some other countries. I think
Australia
or something.
Yep.
Yeah, denied him.
Yeah.
And actually, he went back. That's been
Is
how
there
long
a
ago?
requirement currently to come into the U.S.? You have to have a vaccine. Is that still active?
Apparently, there is. The State
I
Department
haven't
denied his entry. So they probably still haven't. Now, what he should do is fly into Mexico and drive up on the southern border, because clearly he's not going to have an issue entering the country that way. But yeah, he was denied originally in Australia a little over a year ago, and he went back to Australia here recently for that same tournament and won the tournament. I thought that was pretty cool. He was gave him the big middle finger.
Get rid of these ads and stuff, but here's the article.
Okay, yeah. So it states in there, yeah, if you go down to Rick Scott's Twitter, it's way too small print for me to read it, but I do believe it says he has earned the right to compete in Miami, the Miami Open. And it says, will Joe Biden let him in? It's actually a letter or something like that
yeah,
I guess he can come in. But they said the State Department's not letting him in.
So it says the U.S. is ending its COVID-19 emergency declaration on May 11th, which will allow foreign air travelers to enter the country. But I guess currently it's still in place.
And actually, if you'll start to notice as we get closer to May 11th, that's whenever that emergency declaration of the pandemic actually ends.
You think they'll extend it?
No, I don't think they will. I don't think they have time to, and this is not the time of year whenever a new strain would come out. Usually it's whenever it's cooler. Although they kept saying it's either hot or cold, it didn't matter. It was always something that made it worse. But I think what's going to happen is you have all these vaccines out there that the federal government has already paid for. And, they're letting these pharmaceutical companies push these on people still. And they're giving them away. After May 11th, they won't be free anymore. So somebody's sitting on a big pile of vaccines. I don't think a lot of people understand and realize that once that emergency declaration is lifted, it's not just lifted. It's not like when the mask mandate went away, like, oh, we don't have to wear masks anymore. A lot of stuff changes. Who pays for things changes, where people are mandated or not mandated, what they can or can't do, how hospitals function. A lot of stuff that happens operationally will change. And again, there may be people responsible for it. So I see a lot of our tax dollars will probably go, not that they're already being misspent anyway on the virus, or the vaccine. But I think now we'll start to have things like that'll come out where we have to pay for this. We need a new bill to pay for vaccine for people who want it or something like that. And, because that's all going to change. Again, you can go today on May 10th, you could even up to then get a free vaccine. You won't get that on May 11th once that emergency declaration is lifted. So I'm curious to see what things got put in place, because you guys will remember when all this stuff came about and got put in place, our heads were spinning. We had never experienced anything like this. Things got implemented and put in place, and we were like, what in the heck is going on? So we don't know what all is involved in an emergency declaration. I'm sure you could Google it and find it out. But there's a lot of stuff out there that has to be undone now. And I'm curious to see how it gets undone and what it affects. Let's see. The next story I want to talk about. This is fun. This is a good one. Chris Rock. You guys see Chris Rock is in the news again. I
have his clip too, if you want to watch that.
Yeah, let's preface this and we'll jump to his clip if you want to get that ready. I'll kind of set it up. Chris Rock lights up Will Smith, Meghan Markle, and performative wokeness in Wild Show. Essentially, and I don't blame him for doing this because he took the heat for it, but he's making money off of his situation with Will Smith by launching his own show, comedy show, touring and stuff like that. Again, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I would do the same thing if I were him. I may as well take advantage of it. He was made to look like a fool for a long time. So he's coming out kind of, you can tell he's a little pissed off. I mean, in the clip, I'm not sure how much of the clip we're going to watch here, but when you watch it, I watched it right before I came out here. And I noticed that, yes, he's joking, kind of jovial, having a good time and all that. And then when he talks about Will Smith, he's joking. And all of a sudden you're like, he's still joking, but he's not real happy about it. And I thought that was pretty telling. The guy's, I think he looks at it now like I should have hit him back. I'm sure that's what it, in his mind, he's thinking that, man, I let that dude just slap me, you know, and I should have beat his ass. I know that's what he's thinking. So you got that queued up, Chad?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see.
Let's take a look.
Will Smith. My whole life, I love this guy. I saw him open up for Run DMC at the Nassau Coliseum. And now I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped. And a lot of people go, Chris, how come you didn't do nothing back? How come you didn't do nothing back that night? Because I got parents. That's why. Because I was raised.
Okay? He's not happy right there.
Taught me, don't fight in front of white people.
At the end of the day, I lost it.
So some of the things that he said that kind of got me, let's see. He joked about the slap. He said, it still hurts. I got summertime ringing in my ears.
Yeah, I saw that.
He said, right now we live, and this is pretty eye-opening here. He jumped back on the cancel culture people. He said, right now we live in a world where the emergency room is filled with MFers with paper cuts. You will never see me on Oprah or Gail crying. You will never see it. Never going to happen. I couldn't believe it. I love Men in Black. He said, no, F that. I took that hit like Pacquiao, and which I kind of did, you know. He says he mocked Meghan Markle, and this is kind of funny, you know. And the jury's still out on this, but Meghan Markle is supposedly black. She looks as white as me, and but anyway, she's saying how racist the royal family is, and I have told my wife this 100 times, and now this dude come out and said it. He goes, it's the royal family. You didn't Google these MFers? I'm like, yeah, this is not a secret. They colonized the freaking world, man. They went down and stole practically the whole, them and France took most of Africa. And you're over here acting like you didn't realize. He said he went on, that's like marrying into the Budweiser family and going, man, they drink a lot. So anyway, I thought it was pretty funny. He did kind of hit on the selective outrage. He said one person does something, they get canceled. Another person does the exact same thing, nothing. He's enraged by the kind of people who play Michael Jackson songs but won't play R. Kelly. Same crime. One of them just got better songs. So he's right. I mean, Michael Jackson.
Let's see what this one has on here.
It still hurts.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. That. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much what you said. He talked about in there. I watched some of it earlier, and it was pretty funny. But you know, so I've seen some comments on Facebook too. They're like, okay, people are mad about Will Smith doing what he did to Chris Rock, but now Chris Rock's talking. You know, should Chris Rock be really insulting his family again, which is basically what he's doing, which is what got him in trouble in the first place. So,
no, and he really did.
But I mean, actually, you're in that spot, you know.
Well, I mean, these people, they chose to be where they're at.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to feel whole. I mean, if they're not in the tabloids, people forget about them and they lose any popularity.
Well, I mean, a comedian's job is to make fun of people. And
that's right.
That's part of jokingly or roasting or whatever. So I don't know.
It says Chris Rock wasn't holding back when it came to Will Smith. He said, everybody, and I'm not going to say the word just as a little bit of respect, everybody called that man a B word. Will Smith practices selective outrage, because everybody knows what the F happened. Everybody that really, he's talking about Will Smith's wife cheating on him. Everybody really knows, everybody who really knows what happened. Had nothing to do with that. I didn't have any entanglements. And that's the way he kind of framed it whenever he was during this comedy sketch. He said, what did he mean by entanglements? He was referring to Jada Pinkett Smith admitting that she'd gotten into an entanglement. That's what she called it, with her son's friend, rapper August Alsina. She said it was while she and Smith were separated in 2021. That's kind of the joke that you see that face of Will Smith crying and stuff like that. So nevertheless, I mean, Will Smith was kind of shamed in front of a whole bunch of people, and the person who kind of shamed him was sitting right next to him. So he goes and slaps Chris Rock. So I don't have a problem with what Chris is doing here. Honestly, I mean, I feel like, yeah, is he bitter when he if you've watched the video where he's talking about Will Smith, everybody called Will Smith a B word. And he said, I called Will and he didn't take my call. You could tell he's not playing. He's like, he's passing information on. He's not making a joke. There was no punchline. He was just saying what was on his mind. And it's pretty eye opening. You could tell he was not happy.
Well, I mean,
people
were waiting for a year for his response. You know, it took him a long time to figure that out.
Or he's wanting to ride that. He's wanting to ride that same little train.
Yep.
He wants to get the attention out of it, or he really has it on his mind. Like, if I could provoke this guy maybe one more time, let's go to town. But I'm with you on the whole entanglement deal, man. If Will Smith really wanted to do something to somebody, Chris Rock don't look like the kind of guy that would really want to do something. My dad always said, you want to fight somebody, if they're not 6'4", imagine they're 6'4", and if you still want to get it, get it. But if he wanted to get with somebody, that should have been Jada Pinkett's man. You know what I mean? He was the one you truly had an egregious, with. Go get it. If you're a tough guy, man in black, go get it. But you're not really. You would pick on a guy that, would have a hard time, defending himself. Maybe Chris Rock's a badass. I don't know. But it just doesn't look like the kind of guy that would, cash that check for Will.
Rock did say that too in his little comedy routine. He said that, everybody's over here calling Will Smith a B. He said this one called him a B. He started calling people out who called him a B word. And he said, I'm the only one that didn't call him that. And he goes, and guess who he hit? So, I mean, he's actually calling him out like, everybody, all these other people talking about you and we're talking about you. I never did. And you hit me, So again, there was some personal stuff coming out with Chris Rock doing that. That wasn't all part of his routine. He was a little upset still. I don't blame him. I'm just saying it's. I wanted to point something. I don't know if you guys caught this. That's kind of like why I was late getting out here tonight. If any of you guys have been watching the January 6th stuff and all the stuff that came out about January 6th, a couple of weeks ago it was announced that, and I didn't send this to Kindle and chat, so I'm sorry I'm hitting y'all with this, but I just saw it as I was coming out here. I didn't know that the Tucker Carlson show was going to play this video tonight. A couple of weeks ago, the new House Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy of the Republican Party, said that or announced that he was going to take all of the January 6th footage from January 6th. I think it's like 1,400 hours of footage. Now, granted, this is all closed circuit cameras, so it may just be looking at an empty foyer or something like that, for 3 hours. So that's why it sounds like a lot of footage. It wasn't quite that much. But McCarthy said that he was going to, McCarthy said he was going to give all that footage to Tucker Carlson. Carlson's crew was going to go through it and analyze it and put something out on it. I hope I did, because I tried on my TV before I left to try to tape that segment. I know we'll be able to catch it online, but man, it was very eye-opening. If you'll remember, the January 6th subcommittee came out and just said deadly insurrection. They started talking about all this stuff. And if you remember, they always showed the exact same clips, like the couple of clips where you see them pushing the barricade, the clip where you see them pushing the door open, the one where you see them busting one window, just that same window. That's the only clips you ever saw. And I'm like, man, 1,400 hours worth of video. And that I remember seeing the same like 10 seconds over and over again. Look, if something don't hit the fan tomorrow, then people are in complete denial. Carlson had some awesome stuff come out. And remember the cop that they said was, quote, killed, that came out later. New York Times actually put the story out originally, and everybody else took that story and ran with it, that, they killed him. They hit him in the head with a fire extinguisher. Well, all of this footage that they have is all time-stamped and bookmarked by the Capitol. Yeah, this might be it right here, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to say, but we can roll some of it.
Continued attempt to.
If you can almost scrub till you get to where,
the House is expected to take another vote. In circumstances, Byrd would have been fired immediately and charged with murder, which he clearly committed.
This might be where he's setting it up.
After doing essentially no investigation into the shooting,
because I don't remember seeing that unless it was later on.
Congressional police force declared
but anyway,
Capitol building that day.
Can you kill that
At the
volume
same
on that
time,
real quick?
it is the least talked about event of January 6th. Why is that?
It's still playing.
Well, because the facts about what.
All right.
There you go. So one of the things they talked about this law enforcement officer, they have him walking through with kind of like the little skateboard helmet that you or bicycle helmet that you see these guys a lot of times wear. The actual officer who supposedly was killed was time stamped well after the time frame where he was supposedly hit in the head with the fire extinguisher and later on died. He's walking with his little helmet on and just nonchalantly walking through there. And guess what he's doing? Now, come to find out, he is a Trump voter, by the way. That law enforcement officer they say that was killed did vote for Trump. He's walking in there and he is literally waving people through. As a Capitol law enforcement officer, Capitol Police, he is letting them come through, not only letting them, but guiding the people through after he was supposedly killed. Now, to me, that's a huge hole right there. They also ran some stories on that. What do they call him? The QAnon shaman, the guy with the big head dress and all that kind of stuff. Look, remember the videos we always saw of him standing on the House floor behind the desk doing this or whatever? Tucker must have shown this guy in probably 10 different clips of 2 and 3 law enforcement officers walking with him. And in many cases, ushering him through the doors, not pushing him. This guy's not under arrest. In some cases, he's walking in front. Sometimes he's walking on the side. Sometimes he's behind them. He's walking with them. In other words, they're not trying to apprehend him. They don't have him by the arm. They're not telling him where to go. One cop walked up to a door, tried to unlock it for the guy, couldn't unlock it. And he said, hey, let's just go over there. If this guy was such a threat, this guy got a 4-year prison sentence. He's still sitting in a prison cell. If this guy was such a threat, then these guys are either accomplices, or like I told my wife, it's obstruction of justice, because surely these guys had some kind of a deposition where that they had to, spill whatever happened, that they were with this guy. Either they lied about it or they told the truth about it and all that was ignored. But either way, this January 6th committee no doubt ignored a lot of this stuff because they saw all this video and they still came out and made these crazy claims that they did. Let's not forget that the only person that was killed on that day was Ashley Babbitt. That's the girl, the Air Force lady who tried to climb through the window. She was wrong for climbing through the window. I get that. But she was unarmed. She was no threat to anybody. And she was shot at point blank range by one of the security guys. So she was the only person who lost their life that day. Again, that law enforcement officer that lost his life, I believe they said later on there was a stroke the next day or something like that. So anyway, very, very telling, man. If you get a chance to go watch those videos, I don't know if Tucker's going to keep reporting on it like during the week this week or what, because I left out of there after about 40 minutes of his show tonight. But man, it was like, where me and my wife were looking at each other like, man, some heads are going to roll or else people are just going to ignore this. And they'll likely ignore it, of course, but it will, let me just tell you this. It will make you lose probably any confidence you had in our federal government to not be corrupt, because that's the most corrupt thing that I've ever seen. All the lies that all these politicians have been telling since then, and they knew better. They knew these were lies. They knew the facts because they had the video all along, and they still stuck to these lies. I'm telling you, I lost every ounce of trust that I had in federal government, if I had any, by watching that 35, 40 minutes, because I just realized I know both sides do this. I know they both play that game. And to see that was pretty sickening, to know that our, our quote leaders, again, I don't consider them leaders, but these are the people who are supposedly leading our country, and they're that much of a liar and pigs about that kind of stuff. Blew my mind. I encourage everybody to watch that. One thing
like
that
you said, what trust?
Yeah. Not like anybody had any really anyway, but before we get out of here, and I'm not trying to cut you guys off because we'll come back to y'all in a second, Chad and Kendall, but I do want to point out, I'm not doing this to try to show off that I have an AR-15. I'm doing this because I can't touch it. You guys know that YouTube has really weird rules on live streams that you can't touch firearms. So
that's a bike grip, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a bike grip right there. If you guys get it, I'm sure most of you guys have watched it. It's got several views right now. The Legally Armed guys who watch it, y'all know what we're talking about. This is a rifle that we're going to give away. Now, I'm not going to touch the magazine, or I would eject it out of there, but I'm not going to. This is actually a 22 long rifle, or takes 22 long rifle, but it's an AR-15 platform by Tippmann Arms. And it's got the Gun Owners of America logo on that. I'll take some up close pictures of it tomorrow and post them on various social medias for ThinkTown and Legally Armed America so you guys can see. But entry is free. It's free. We're going to give this away at the end of May on Memorial Day. So this, a gun bag, and I'm going to find other stuff that we can give away as well. Probably some merch or something like that. Chad, I'm sure we can come up with something kind of cool with the ThinkTown logo on it or something like that. But we're going to give this away, and all you have to do, and let me go into, I don't want to miss any of this because Chad put all this together. I want to make sure that we cover all this. Where's that text from you, Chad? Here we go. Okay, so there's several ways to enter, and the cool thing is you can actually enter multiple ways, and you can enter daily. Okay, here's all the ways you can enter. Sign up for the Legally Armed America newsletter. You go to legallyarmedamerica.com. You sign up for the newsletter. You get 2 chances in here. Visit ThinkTown Podcast on YouTube. Go there, subscribe. If you're not watching it here tonight, if you're watching on the Legally Armed America channel, go over to the ThinkTown Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe there. They need to go through these links, though, right, Chad? That's how they have to do it, right?
Yeah, each link. So it's you get an entry for each task you complete. So I can pull that up, and I'll pull up the site here too. So let's see.
So by just
the more things you do, the more entries you get. Sharing with a friend.
But you have to follow these. You have to follow these links for it to be an entry. Though, in other words, you can't just go from here straight to ThinkTown Podcast and subscribe, because that won't register you as a vote. You have to go to, is it both websites, Chad, the ThinkTown and the Legally Armed? That'll get them there to the widget.
I don't have it on Legally Armed yet. I can put the link on there. It's right now. It's only on the ThinkTown site. So
if you go to the ThinkTown, what do we have? ThinkTown.live. So go to ThinkTown.live, and you can see this widget that's going to pop up, and it's going to show you all these ways that you can actually.
The widget's not working right now, so I need to fix that. I'll fix that here short. No, it's giving me a bad link, but I'm going to go fix that.
Okay.
While we're here.
It seems like it's working on my phone.
Okay.
So just to give you a little bit of detail on the rifle, this is an M422 Elite, is a premium 22 caliber semi-automatic tactical rimfire rifle with aluminum upper and lower receivers. All the features of a true M4. The M422 is largely mil-spec compatible, excuse me, and will accept most AR-15 stocks, handguards, and sights. M422 has the look, feel, and controls of a true M4 and is a perfect platform for competition and training applications or backyard plinking. Really cool gun. It's actually a commemorative gun that Tippmann is only making so many of. I actually got my hands on 2 of them, one for the giveaway, so I'm happy to be able to give that thing away. It's going to be really neat. A little bit over 2 months that we're going to run this contest, but that gives you a lot of chances to enter. It's not just a one-time thing. You can enter multiple times. And by referring people, that's one of your ways to enter also. And one of the conversations that we've had regarding this type of drawing is we've used this kind of software before to do a gun giveaway. And you might be thinking, oh, a lot of the different entries don't really matter. Well, we gave away a 1911 one time. I believe it was a Rock Island Armory 1911. And the guy who won it, his original entry is not how he won it, because when you do the random drawing, this system that Chad created this giveaway on, it will pick your winner for you. So when it picks the winner, it tells you what type of entry it was. And that last entry where he referred a friend and that friend signed up, that's how he won. It wasn't his own entry. It was the referral entry. So I thought that was pretty cool that, hey, there is some value in trying to get other people to do that. Obviously, the goal for us is that we're trying to build up both channels, or at least ThinkTown Podcast. So we want to build that up, and we want to get that subscription built up over there, that following on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So this is our way to kind of encourage you guys to go. There you go. So that's all the different ways that you can sign up right there. So it's really cool. Again, I love the fact that these rifles are for sale, by the way. You can go to Tippmann's, Tippmann is how Tippmann is spelled. You can go there and look at this rifle on their website and look a little bit more of the detail and specs and all that. But That's the rifle. You see, it's got flip up sights also. They don't mention that in the description, but it does have its own flip up sights on it. So that's kind of cool as well. If anybody's in the Lake Charles area and want to look at it, you're more than welcome to take a look at it. I might bring it by Planet Pools over there and just, have it in there if anybody wants to kind of see it. But I would definitely encourage anybody. They're not going to have these things forever. Again, it's laser engraved on the magwell there. And that's kind of cool with the Gun Owners of America. Of course, Gun Owners of America is, in my opinion, the best Second Amendment advocacy group in the nation right now. They do an absolutely great job, and just proud to have a firearm that they actually are getting behind in this cool little partnership that they have with Tippmann Arms. So very cool. You guys get a chance, go check that out. Again, go to thinktown.live. It's not .com. Go to thinktown.live. And you're going to get a hold of this widget right here that Chad has on the screen.
Yeah, there's a little link there. It says enter giveaway. It takes them to this page. So
okay, cool. That's good. Yeah, go check it out. I mean, we're going to give it away. Good point that Chad brought up earlier. There are some states that do not allow you to receive this, whether as a gift or just to possess it. There are some communist states still in the United States that do not allow these types of transfers. So if you are residing behind enemy lines in one of those states, I would recommend not even entering, because we can't send it to you. You won't win it. Maybe we send you a t-shirt or something, but you're definitely not going to, it's not like we're going to tell you, we'll send it to your friend in Nevada. You can drive over the line and get it.
It'll say I entered the Thinktown podcast giveaway, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. Go check it out. Thinktown.live. Again, not .com. Thinktown.live is where you can go and enter. And I think, Chad, they can, I see down at the very bottom, click for a daily bonus entry. So that's kind of cool, too. I mean, you can pile those entries up.
You can always come back, refer friends. You can always come back and do a daily bonus. You can come back and do other entry methods that you haven't done yet. It will ask you when you initially create it, we want your email and name, just so we have that. It makes you a little account for you, and that's how it tracks all your entries. So, yeah,
that's right. All right. Well, guys, I think we're going to get out of here. Chad, Kendall, you guys got anything to add before we get out?
I know the last couple of weeks offline, once we finish the shows, Paul's always like, hey, I think we should do like some funny video or a video of the week kind of thing. Hey, guys, look for something you saw. So I actually came across this one today. I wanted to play for you real quick. So let me pull this up real quick. So it's basically this kid in the back seat of a car, and he's talking, and it's funny on TikTok. You can duet these videos. So people take them and they'll add layers to them. Like one guy takes it and adds a bass line. So they're turning these people's spoken words into like these songs. So this is one I came across today. Let me see here. Let me find this and share it. Just a second. All right, make sure I got all the volumes on.
I feel like punching the government right in the face. Not okay. Screw the government.
Did you get what he said?
I did say screw the government.
Well, yeah. So he goes, I want to punch the government right in the face. And then they kick into their.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I feel like punching the government right in the face. Not okay. Screw the government.
Oh gosh, and that's probably going viral too.
Oh, it is.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, guys. Kendall, you got anything you want to share?
Man, no. Appreciate the support. Android Jackson, you're killing me with your comments, but hey, it is what it is.
All right, gentlemen. Well, let's get out of here. Hopefully next week we can have our other half of the estrogen crew, Mackenzie, show back up. And we wish her well. Hope she's doing good right now. I know hopefully she's watching. Hadn't conked out yet in bed yet, but if you're watching, Mackenzie, we miss you and can't wait to have you back here next Monday night. And Chad and Kendall, if you have nothing else to share, let's get out of here because I want to go to bed myself.
Yeah, no problem.
So next time.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week.
All right, guys. See ya.